Yo, Thought Warriors, what is up? I don't know if this is higher learning. It's Van Lathan, Rachel Lindsay, Bakari Sellers of the Bakari Sellers podcast here with you. We are anxiously watching the election coverage here on election day. Oh, Bakari's not anxious. Bakari, you're not anxious?
No, not at all. I'm actually getting my suit out. They got me working 4 hours. I'm on from 2 a.m. to 9 a.m.
So let's start there then. Everybody else is anxious. No one can even watch it. We don't even have it on right now in my house. We're so anxious. Why aren't you anxious, Bakari?
Hey, wait, before Bakari answers, I just want to say I cannot tell you the amount of people who have messaged me saying, can I have whatever Bakari Sellers has? People want to tap into your calmness. Everyone's like, what does he know that we don't know? Please tell us.
Fundamentals haven't changed. It is what it is. In a lot of places, particularly in Georgia, she's still overperforming President Biden, what he did in Georgia and North Carolina. She's still overperforming. It's going to be a long night. It's going to be quicker than it was a few years ago, but she's doing pretty well. I think that you're going to see, people just get anxious. So Virginia, for example, where you have a nearly tied race right now, the votes that are still out are Democratic votes. And so, you'll see that margin go to 8, 9, 10 points. The problem is Twitter and social media. People go on Twitter and they think that they know what's out there and they know the politics of it. And it's awful, but here we are.
Let me ask you this. I want you to be honest. If there was reason for pessimism or skepticism, would you express that to us right now? Are you sunshine pumping or is this real?
We've been down that path before. Yeah. Listen, we've been down that path in 2016, so it ain't no need to lie. We've all been there.
Well, interestingly enough, I was out of the country filming a show where I had no contact with the world in 2016. So I wasn't here for all of this with
What
Trump
show were you filming?
The Bachelor.
You said she just tried to, it's like she just tried to
shooting a show out of the country.
That was I didn't have a signal.
My point was that I wasn't a part of all of this, what everybody is feeling, and just looking at the electoral votes that have come in. And I know it's so early. How do you not freak out when you see that Trump has 154 currently and Harris has 27? I am seeing some things that are showing that. I saw something that said she's predicted to win North Carolina and Pennsylvania. I don't know. I don't know how to digest what's coming in. Van doesn't have his TV on. I have 4 screens on.
What you have to realize is that all of the big states where Trump wins to get that number at 154, the Floridas, the Texas, Oklahomas, etc., they come in early. The largest electoral prize are North Carolina, Texas, and California. New York, Texas, and California. She's going to win California, but we're not going to win California until midnight, right? That's like 60 electoral votes. I don't know what it is. New York could come in slowly and surely. And so you just have to the problem is that we panic so much. Everybody just needs to be calm. I know for a fact that she's very zen right now and she still sees everything very clear-eyed. And the campaign is still very, very excited about where they are. So I don't think there's any reason to worry just yet.
Some news just came in that the people at P68 sent me. Mark Robinson has lost to Josh Stein in North Carolina. And I'll just be honest with you, of all the races that we've talked about, this one is the most disappointing to me.
I know you feel some type of way about your cousin not being governor, but
not my cousin. That's my brother. That's my big bro. That's my big bro right there. We ran on the nudeafrica.com platform. And
I'm surprised Nude Africa is not sponsoring this podcast. That's what I'm surprised.
I would have loved that they did.
I'm still here, Bakari. I'm still here.
You guys in that, what's my guy from Equatorial Guinea? Have y'all been following?
Oh my God. What is this? Rachel, have you seen that story? We see. Rachel,
I will let y'all get brought up to the HR without me. Don't have me in it. But have you not seen the minister from Equatorial Guinea? You should just spend tonight Googling that so you don't have to look at it.
I'm ready to drink a glass of wine to calm down right now. I don't want any of it. We can talk about it on the next podcast.
Yeah. Are there any surprises that you've seen thus far, other than the race at the top of the ticket? Anything else jumping out at you that you are?
Everything has been so normal. There's been nothing. There's been nothing that has surprised anybody. Nothing that's changed. She's running strong everywhere she needs to. There's nothing that has changed for anybody that I know. I mean, she's winning the states she's supposed to win. The states that are close are supposed to be close. There are a lot of votes out in North Carolina. I just got a text message. North Carolina looks really good for her. So we'll see. I mean,
what about any other races down ballot?
Oh,
go ahead, Rachel. What'd you say?
Do you think Trump supporting Mark Robinson and all in the way, and with his quick downfall, do you think in any way that is what's helping her in North Carolina?
I believe it has to be helping a little bit. That's an interesting pull. It's like a reverse tug, but we shall see. We still have all of like Atlanta Metro out. We still have all of, in terms of North Carolina, Raleigh, Durham, and Mecklenburg County out. And so it usually happens the reverse way, where the top of the ticket is a drag to the bottom of the ticket. So this would be a little bit inverse. So this is a new kind of political phenomenon. We haven't seen a candidate be this terrible down ballot, but he is that.
Yeah.
As far as some of the unrest that people were afraid of on election day, it seems to have been relatively quiet in terms of that. I think a lot of people thought that
but it wasn't. It wasn't. Okay. You had multiple bomb threats called into Georgia in polling. Yeah. So you have a couple of polling places that had to stay open until about 8:30, 9 o'clock. Some of them just closed. We were able to track that. The Secretary of State was able to track that and realize that those bomb threats came in from Russia, which is just fascinating how Russia knows exactly what precincts to call bomb threats into. So it's an interesting. It was an interesting time. So the unrest we saw, where the foreign actors we knew that would exist, I don't think people are in the streets yet, but we still are very early in the night. Howard ain't even rev up. I think they just started letting people in the gates at like 9 o'clock at Howard. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's still an early night.
But with all the reporting I'm seeing on those bomb threats, and I know that they evacuated people. Obviously the point was to cause confusion and unrest and hopefully get people to go home. Do we know if those people stayed to vote? I know that they're extending the hours, but were they successful in what they were trying to do?
Many of those people did. I mean, that was the thing that they said, that, we wanted to make sure that those people who were in line at the time voted. They made it they had them out there. I'm not going to say they sequestered them, because they didn't do that. People, of course, had other things to do. But there was a great, we believe that most of those, if not all of those voters voted. I mean, some someone went home, probably didn't come back. And that was, 1 or 2 votes here or there is what the Russians wanted. But here we go. We got another projection. Delaware. So one of the things that has happened tonight is that we have had 2 Black women go to the United States Senate already. Angela Also Brooks in Maryland and Lisa Blunt Rochester in Delaware. And so
that's fantastic.
Yeah. So they were number 5 and number 6, I believe, in the history of the United States of African-American women going to the United States Congress. So United States Senate. So that's a big thing.
So real quick, in some celebrity adjacent news, what I do best, Dr. Phil hedged his bets. Are you a betting man?
Very much so. I'm a degenerate.
Okay. Dr. Phil, who spoke at the Trump rally in New York City, Hate Fest 2024, he came back today and he cleaned it up a little bit. He says that was not an endorsement of Trump. It was an act of rebellion against Kamala for snubbing him for an interview. He was trying to get back at her. So he's not endorsing Trump. Joe Rogan endorsed Trump. Megyn Kelly endorsed Trump. All of these came in right before the election days yesterday. Do you think celebrity endorsements matter? And do you accept Dr. Phil? Both of us, are we accepting Dr. Phil back into the barbecue now that he says he doesn't endorse Trump? Dr. Phil's good, right?
No, he's not good. I mean, that's small of a man who feels some type of way like that to not support somebody because they didn't give you an interview. That's crazy. you have to be bigger than that. You have to use your platform in a way. And I actually like Dr. Phil. I've been on his show before. He's interviewed me before. But I just thought that, and then it was kind of prima donna by Joe Rogan. You had Joe Rogan talking about the fact that he wanted the vice president of the United States of America. Like Donald Trump's unemployed right now, but he wanted her to come to Austin, Texas to be on his podcast. She offered him an hour at her home in Washington, D.C. to come out and interview her for an hour. But he said, no, it's going to be best if we do it in Austin, Texas. And she just didn't have the time to do that. Call Her Daddy, which is a huge podcast, as you all know. They rented a whole room out in Las Vegas, Nevada to accommodate the vice president, to put her on the podcast and get that message out to their viewers. I think Joe Rogan was playing games. You saw him endorse Trump. I'm disappointed in Joe. I'm disappointed in Dr. Phil, but this is where we are.
Right.
Shocking that you like Dr. Phil. Dr. Phil has a really bad reputation of being, I'll just say it, an asshole. And
I don't know the man like that. I mean, I just been on his show once, so I don't have a reason to dislike him yet. But tell me why I should, Rachel.
Well, this to me alone is enough, because what Joe Rogan did with not wanting to go to where Vice President Kamala Harris was, and with what Dr. Phil said he did, because he asked her 25 times for an interview and she said no, it's an example of, to me, white privilege, and both of them centering themselves over the greater good. To the way Dr. Phil acted at the rally and talked about DEI, and the way he is centering himself now.
That was wild, wasn't it?
A full brat is enough for me to say, oh, what people have been saying about you is actually true.
Yeah, that was like the wildest thing. Like slavery didn't build this. Like, this country wasn't built on the back of slaves for free. Like, what? How ahistorical was that? And I don't know what he was trying to get through, but he missed the mark completely with that speech. And then to come back and hit that was more than disappointing.
Yeah, his whole career was handed to him by a black lady. So it's interesting that he has that perspective. Who do we watch? This is always also a battle in terms of who we keeping up with. Are you a home team CNN guy? Who do you watch for the coverage?
No, we do nights like this better than anybody. I mean, John King on the Magic Wall is kind of special. I mean, he knows these counties inside and out. This is what he prepares for day in and day out. I mean, we don't even go to comment. I'm gonna be on air for 7 hours in a few hours, and we barely go to the commentators. So you won't hear a lot of Scott Jennings or Van Jones. Most of it is and David Axelrod. In fact, I haven't seen them on in the last hour and some change. Most of it is maps and reporters where people are. So that, because we're getting votes in. So we just do this part really, really well. I mean, this is the part that we do well. And, I'm watching them, and I'm also just getting information from the campaign as we go. But they haven't changed. The campaign is still very, very, very zen right now.
And down in Baton Rouge, there's a heavyweight championship fight happening. I got to mention this.
What's happening down there?
Ted James is in a dogfight. Mayor Sharon Weston Broom, guest on Higher Learning. We've had her on. The hope is he's one of the top two, and then he goes to a runoff, and then we'll see what happens in December. But it's been a really interesting race. The dirty politics down there in Baton Rouge, man. Some of the local politics are even more dramatic than the national stuff. It's really been
dirty. How?
Yeah. Well,
how?
The mayor ran an ad of some audio from Ted, and she sent a mole in. Basically, there was a mole that was around Ted that was taping him, and they put it in the ad and they put it out there. It kind of backfired, but some dirty pool being played down there in Baton Rouge. Bakari knows Ted.
I know Ted, but what did they say he did? I missed it.
I'm not going to repeat it because I don't want to.
All the things you've said on this podcast, you can't repeat what somebody else said. Come on.
No,
now.
What I'm saying is that
and then they broadcasted it publicly on an ad. So I mean, it ain't. I mean,
okay. So there was an ad where Ted.
Boy, your peer pressure game is trash. We just bullied you in it. Go ahead.
He wants to say it, Bakari. That's the thing.
I don't want to say it. I don't want to say it. I don't want to say. It's not about peer pressure. It's about the fact that I do have a job to do here. Ted had said that he was woke MAGA. he was joking with someone.
Oh, I was like, that's a weird thing to say.
Yeah, he said, "I'm MAGA, but I'm woke MAGA." And they got it on tape some kind of way. They put it in an ad, and then the ad was plastered all over Instagram, and everybody was like, "Oh my God." But it didn't really have the effect that a lot of people thought it was going to have. Like I just know that from watching somebody I've known for a long time be this involved in politics, man, I don't see how you guys do it. I don't see how you guys are held to that ridiculous standard for as long as you need to be to win elections. It's ridiculous to me.
But I it's a weird racial dynamic in that Baton Rouge race.
It is.
I mean, I think that they put that white guy in the race, and that white guy has a legit chance to win. Yeah, so it's going to be a weird.
Well, I mean, they put him in the race so that he could erode support for Ted.
Yeah.
Right. And so now we'll see what happens. Look at Rachel. Rachel is so nervous right now.
Yeah, I'm like looking at my phone too.
I have 4 screens up. I'm loyal to no one. Okay, sorry, Bakari.
We knew that. That's what they say. We know.
Right.
Bakari, what they say?
What? No.
Bakari, what's the saying,
No.
Bakari?
That's what they say. She just used her own slogan.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about Texas really quickly, if it's even worth talking about. Some people think that Colin Allred has a chance in the Senate race. Do you think there's any chance? This might be one of the, I don't know if it's the closest Senate race we've seen between a Democrat and a Republican in a long time. I don't know. You would know much better than me. But is there a chance that we can see him? Oh, okay.
No.
He ran so close the whole time, no, man.
Oh,
he did his thing. I mean, it's hard. It's Texas.
In the same way, you're seeing a lot of conservatives move to Florida, and Florida is just, I mean, they've already called it at this point. You're seeing a lot of liberals move to Texas. So, I think people thought there could be more of a chance there.
Yeah, Texas is 2 decades away from ever changing. You remember Texas did have a 2-term or 3-term Democratic woman governor,
Miss Ann Richards.
Yeah.
Miss Ann Richards. Her daughter actually founded. I don't know if she founded it. She didn't found it, but she was the leader of Planned Parenthood for decades.
Does Colin Allred have a future in Texas, being that he put a little scare into Ted Cruz?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's like Beto. Does Beto have a future? Do you remember Beto? Where he at?
How do you remember?
What is this shade? Like, Bakari, what are you? This
what?
is one of your.
That wasn't. I don't. Did I miss something? Is that an inside? What happened?
No, like you remember Beto? Where he at? That's one of your fellow Democrats.
I thought that was like your homie or something. I wasn't trying to take a shot at you. I was taking it. Yeah.
Before, like, a lot of people are talking about the issues, what issues are important to voters, at least in the beginning, before some of these polls were closing, what issues are important to voters. And I think a lot of people thought that college students may not turn out as much because of their stance on the war. A lot of what I've been seeing today is showing people waiting in line for hours and hours, particularly in Pennsylvania. They've really been focusing on that. Are you surprised or not? Or is it just, as you suspected, in regards to college students turning up to vote and seem to be putting other issues ahead of the war when people predicted that they might not?
No, college students have done their thing in this election cycle. I mean, they've come out in amazing, amazing numbers. You'll see that in Pennsylvania in a little bit. You'll see that in Wisconsin. You'll see that in Michigan. They've come out in huge numbers around the country. And it's over-indexed with young women, not young men. So it's been kind of fascinating to watch the amount of young women that have come out.
Look, there's so much stuff on Twitter that's happening right now. People are living and dying with tweets.
People
Is Twitter a helpful tool during election day? You said you threw a little jab at Twitter, but sometimes information can get out really quickly from Twitter. Is Twitter a helpful tool during election day?
No, Twitter's the worst tool. No, it's the worst tool. I mean,
something different.
No,
because there are people that use Twitter to get information out really.
There's too many people on Twitter who don't know what they're talking about, but and right now you can't tell the difference between what is real and what is not.
Mm. What do you think about Alan Lichtman and his 13 keys to the White House?
I mean, there's some legitimacy to people who base the. I mean, it's not gospel, but there's some legitimacy to people who based it on some fundamentals. I mean, so that's important. But you got people who've never run a race, who've never, all they may have done is volunteer, but they don't know anything about anything. Right. So, and then they go on there and they just begin to talk as if they know everything, and that's not the case.
They just announced Rhode Island and Illinois for Kamala Harris, and Louisiana for Trump.
Why are you looking at me like Texas went blue?
They haven't called Texas yet, have they?
It will go blue. Oh, it will go red. Here's
the
thing.
They called Texas a while ago.
Wow. So here's the thing. We should change the name of our podcast to Red State.
Y'all should actually.
Yeah, to Red States. Shout out to Gary Chambers. Gary Chambers Gary
Chambers has told you all why you're losing, and nobody listens to Gary Chambers.
Nobody listens to Gary Chambers. Gary Chambers has done the math. He's talked about what the black voter needs to do. In places where black voters hold majorities and pluralities and situations like that, but don't vote, what do we need to do to engage these voters and make them go change their state for the better? Like, what do we do in Louisiana? What do we need to do?
Well, you got to run people on every ballot, right? You got to run people for dog catcher all the way up. And you cannot start engaging people when the election cycle comes, right? You gotta be doing this like from tomorrow is when you have to begin to engage black voters. You can't engage black voters around Labor Day. That doesn't work. I mean, you got to actually have a sustained outreach effort with different surrogates, different messengers. It's not just the preacher. It's not just the famous people. Different surrogates, different messengers. You got to talk to them. And then sometimes you just got to listen. A lot of times, Democrats in particular don't do a good job of listening to voters. And we have to do a much better job of listening.
Because that's what I would say. It's like, how do you get somebody engaged so early? Like, how do you get them to care is the point. Of course, people care during an election year.
You got to show people that I'm texting my whole family's like, what's going on? I'm like, just fucking relax.
That's me. No,
look, I mean,
scared,
this is not like people are like, Virginia, oh my God. I'm like, do you know where all the votes are that are outstanding? All the votes that are outstanding are Democratic votes. Chill out, people. They're in Arlington. They're in Fairfax. They're all up there. I mean, when those votes come in, every year those votes come in late. They're in the 7 cities. Every year those votes come in late. Those are black people and government employees. The margin's going to be 8 to 10 points at the end of the night for Kamala Harris in Virginia.
Do you understand why people are afraid? Because it's interesting. We spend 2 years scaring the shit out of people about what happens.
Look at this. Kamala's at 66.2%, right? With a third of the vote remaining. So there are 350,000 people out there. It's a third of the vote remaining. It's another 200,000 votes out there. She's going to win. Of those 200,000 votes out there, she's going to win 120 of them, 140 of them.
Which race are you talking about?
Virginia.
Yeah. They just called Texas Senate.
I just told you all this. Is anybody listening to me anywhere?
I'm just announcing things as I see them, Bakari. I'm just announcing.
So I want to say something. It's funny.
But I give you credit because in 2016 you were filming this little show and you didn't have access to Wi-Fi.
She was over there with assorted vanilla scoops.
I knew it was coming.
Speaking of that, so I'm having dinner with some people in.
Where'd you go to school, Rachel?
For college?
Yeah.
University of Texas.
Oh, explains a lot. Never mind. What were you saying, Van?
No. Go
what
for
could
it.
that
Give it to
possibly
her.
mean?
I like this. I like
What
this.
could I pledge D9? Okay, nobody likes to talk about
Did
that.
all of y'all like hang out under a little tree on campus? Did y'all have like one little gathering spot where all the Negroes collaborate?
We did not. We did have a hangout place that no longer exists because of SB 17.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Got these niggas up out of here.
60 people lost their jobs, but yes, I University of Texas was a great school for me.
Yeah.
Rachel said that that's the same place that Emmanuel Acho figured out that he was black, and he said that he didn't really know till he got there, and apparently that's the kind of awakening that you have under that tree. That's the Black awakening tree. It's funny how we are. I was having dinner with some people a couple of weeks ago, and they were talking about Colin Allred, and they were like, "Yeah, we like Colin Allred. Like he showed up to the event. Yeah, he came there with his white wife." And it's funny to me because let me tell you why it's funny. Because Southern people are Southern no matter where they are. Like, if you are a black man with a wife, with a white woman in the South, they don't just say he came with his wife. I've never heard my mom say that, but they always go, "Yeah, I seen him in the Piggly Wiggly with his white wife." And I was always wondering why. If it's anything else, it's fine. I saw him down at the barbershop. He had his white wife with him, and so that told me that they always put that in there. That told me that Colin was that they like Colin. They don't love him. They like him.
What are y'all still talking about loving? I lost track. I was watching this election because y'all were doing a loving recap.
Right. That's very important to Rachel.
That's all, man.
That's very important to Rachel.
But it is not important to me, okay? It is not important to me. So what you were saying earlier, Bakari, about how people are freaking out, and you're saying this happens every single year. I don't feel like it's common knowledge to watch what's happening right now. They just called New York. We knew that was going to happen, just announcing it. I don't think people really understand the counties and how they come in. I think people are looking at what's right in front of them now. And then the fact that, a huge percentage is still out. And I don't know if people really understand, if it's basic knowledge about who does mail-in ballots, who goes to the polls early.
That's a good point, Rachel. So what you're watching right now is a red mirage. So a lot of times early votes are the first votes to be counted. And look at the Georgia map. Are you on CNN right now? Look at the Georgia map. Yeah. Those are the outstanding votes. You see all those blue circles right there?
Mm-hmm.
Those are all our votes that are remaining. That's Chatham. Chatham County is Savannah.
Okay.
And then you have all of Atlanta.
Black?
Huh?
Savannah's black?
Yeah, Savannah's, Chatham County's black. Richmond County's black. All of Atlanta's black.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
So it's sitting pretty there. You like it.
Look, he's not improving in the suburbs. And Gwinnett, look at that. I mean, Georgia's fascinating to watch. Like, look, guys, he's down a point or two everywhere where he needs to be up in Georgia, with a lot of votes still to be counted in Georgia.
Alan Lickman says the keys will be right again.
They will be.
He just tweeted that.
No, people are saying that he's already starting to cop pleas about Alan Lickman. Like he's already starting to cop pleas about the election. You know what? This, for some reason, was a lot more fun in 2020. In 2020, I was having so much fun with it. I think it was because in 2020, I watched every single second of it. I couldn't get enough. This year feels different. I think Project 2020.
Yeah. Well, something, Bakari, you said when you were on our podcast yesterday that has really stuck with me is what will happen after. You saying that Trump will declare a victory and everything that will happen in between certifying the votes and Kamala Harris being inaugurated, and then the fact that, people are already preparing for a Trump Harris part 2. That's something that's like really stuck with me and exhausts me before it's even started. Can you speak to, like, maybe for some people who are watching now live, maybe who didn't listen to it, or maybe there's some more information of like what things look like the road after this election is called and Harris wins?
When this election is called, it's going to go to the lawyers in a lot of places, particularly if it's close. I'm still not certain it's going to be a close race at the end of the night in terms of, I know how people are feeling right now, but I'm still not certain it's going to be a close race in terms of the Electoral College if she's able to squeak out North Carolina or Georgia. I mean, like, look, at midnight, has Georgia or North Carolina in her column, and Pennsylvania looks, and she's up, 100,000 votes in Pennsylvania, and Michigan looks good. This race is vastly different. But if it comes down to a close race, you have things like, for example, in Nevada, the funny thing that the campaign ran into today in Nevada is they have tens of thousands of young voters who, guess what? They don't know how to sign their names. And so in Nevada, you have to go through a process of actually having a ballot signature. But like, young people don't even know how to use cursive. And a lot of times they just do that, but they have to sign their names exactly like they signed it when they got their driver's license in 2016. So there are little things like that, like hanging chads, that will come back to bite at some point in time.
I don't even know if my signature would look the same.
No, I mean, that's so crazy. That's antiquated technology to verify a vote too.
For sure. What do you think about the House and the Senate? We saw that Manchin's seat went to a Republican. Last I saw, they were up one. You think that
they're not up one? They made up one.
They made up one.
Yeah, watch Ohio in a little while. Watch Ohio in a little while, and watch Montana.
Oh man! Now the texts are coming in fast and furious. Okay, let's talk a little bit about. Okay, so it goes the way at the top of the ticket. President, what does she need to have a functioning government as far as to be able to get her agenda passed?
That's going to be tough because I don't think the Senate, to Rachel's point, I don't think the Senate will be with her. I'm prayerful the House will be, and I think the House will be, but you won't know that for a couple of days. So look, I mean, as people were getting nervous, I mean, you got North Carolina, I mean, New York now, they just called that on CNN. So that's, you see the numbers kind of get closer. It's just this is going to be a long night in terms of government. It's going to have to be a government, and she's going to have to get victories early on, particularly for Black folk. And she's going to have to get some small victories early on. This Georgia thing right now really excites me because right now she's only down 200,000 votes, 180,000 votes. And she is moving in the right direction in terms of the outstanding vote remaining in both North Carolina and Georgia. So it's a little early. It's going to come down to the wire, but it's really close. And I think Iowa, you see Kansas. Those things are bode well for a state like Wisconsin, in particular white voters.
A lot of these ballot measures are turning out in different ways than I expect them to. Breaking a little bit conservative.
And I thought Florida was going to have but you had to get to 60% in Florida. They lost by a point on abortion and marijuana in Florida. That's terrible.
Maul from the Joe Budden podcast is upset at Fonnie Willis. He says, y'all yelled free Thug for almost 3 years and then went and voted Fonnie Willis back into office. I hope Thug moves to Bora Bora and never goes to Atlanta again.
Well,
any thoughts on Young Thug?
Not allowed in Metro Atlanta.
Yeah, some of those conditions were crazy. That the charges were crazy. The way it was prosecuted were crazy. Thug did commit some crimes, though. Are we gonna act like he didn't?
Yeah.
I mean, are we gonna act like he ain't really commit no crimes? I mean, the violent crime rate between YSL and YFN was sky high. I don't know if y'all were in Atlanta when those two were like out in the streets were hot. I'm happy he's free back with his family, because if you're gonna bring charges, you got to bring charges that are sound. You got to prosecute it credibly. They didn't do any of that. So you know, that was terrible on their part. Thug just has to be careful. I mean, I saw him with, you know, part of his conditions was he couldn't hang out with felons, and I saw him with none other than Clifford Harris yesterday.
I think it was known drug gang members.
I'm pretty sure when you're on probation, you can't be around other felons as well.
He was
But
felons. Like the terms of his probation are so strict.
man, I would have done 18 more months. Like, look, like,
yeah, like good luck trying to stick to
15 years. You could not do 15 years probation right now, man.
I don't think I couldn't. I don't think 15 years probation should be lawful.
It's not lawful in South Carolina. In fact, in South Carolina, it's not. The most you can do is 5 years probation in South Carolina.
15 years probation is nuts. That's like,
well, it's better than
almost
20 years is what he was assigned. So
no, I get it, but 15 years probation, it's a win for Thug. Don't get me wrong, but man, 15 years. Some of those
you gotta check crazy. You gotta pass drug tests. Sometimes you gotta pass alcohol tests. They probably got community service.
100 hours a year of community service.
Man, that's a lot of time.
It's a lot. It's a lot. Well, she's at 81 now.
What you watching? Yeah, 81. We just went up to 81.
But I'm looking at CNN, who just had Trump at 162. Now he's down to 154.
We didn't have him at 162. He's been at 154.
Oh, sorry. The BBC has him at 162.
Yeah, don't be conflating. They probably just we call stuff slower than other people, because we don't want to go out there. Everybody has Florida whiplash, because you know Al Gore won Florida on everybody's network until he didn't.
Who does it too quickly? Like who pulls the trigger too quickly? Which network?
None of them do now. They coordinate.
Really?
Florida everybody.
In 2000, they were making jokes. I remember they were, we're going to put Florida up on the screen for Al Gore, and it is going to be a chilly Thanksgiving dinner at the Bush house when Jeb Bush has to explain to his brother how the state didn't come in. They were making jokes and clinking, like playing Edward 40 hands and all kinds of shit. And then all of a sudden, boom, take it off the board. Everybody crawfished, and it was
Send the lawyers.
It was bedlam. Oh my Lord. I'm trying to. Philadelphia, Detroit, heavy law enforcement there. Trump is saying, I'm looking at Trump trying to scare people. I
mean, everybody's nervous right now. She's up in Michigan. She's up in Nebraska. She's up in Pennsylvania, and she's up in Wisconsin. You know what you call if you win those states? You know what they call you?
A loser.
What?
President.
Oh, sorry.
Blue wall, baby.
That's that damn UT. You should have gone to You should have gone to Prairie View or something. With a band
you like
damn.
With a band.
You don't talk about the black. Oh, okay. I feel you should have gone there to get the black experience, is what he's saying.
Yeah, get a fried chicken Wednesday.
That sounded bad. It sounded like he was talking about HBCUs.
No, you should have. You wouldn't have made that mistake on the math right there.
Bakari, you went to Morehouse, right?
I did. You can always tell a Morehouse man. You just can't tell them much.
That's kind of an HBCU.
I almost went to Spelman.
You didn't get in? My wife didn't get in either. She over there on the bed. She had to go to chapel.
I got in. I chose not to go to Spelman.
Rachel feels away. Wait a minute. Rachel feels away.
Yeah, because it makes it seem like you never turned Spelman down. I said no.
Why? So wait, hold on. You should have just gone with the other narrative.
No, my sister went to Spelman, and I'd go to homecoming all the time. I visited. I just, I wanted to go. I wanted to make a name for myself somewhere else.
Me too.
Nina Parker tweets, she will never forgive Jack Dorsey.
That's the word that I'm with her. He got $970 million though, so I can't be that mad at him.
Never forgive Jack Dorsey. Nina Parker says she's out on Jack Dorsey. Twitter has become a hellscape. And
you think that's where people should get their info and news from?
sometimes they're quick. Sometimes they're quick on the uptake.
Loud and wrong.
The right is.
Let's go back to Angela Alston Brooks and Lisa Blunt Rochester and talk about that history there.
Give it to me. Pause.
I mean, these two black women from Maryland and Delaware need to be praised for what they were able to do.
For what they were able to do, they need to be praised. You feel like expound. Give us a little bit more.
Being a black woman,
Were they projected not to win?
No, they were projected to win, but I mean that's still an uphill battle. Both of them had to go through an arduous. So look, they had to go through an arduous primary process and won. Slightly higher than expected support in early voting support suburban Georgia, outperforming in 2020 in Douglas, Rockdale counties. There's been no rural surge for Trump. Their long lines remain at 2 North Carolina campuses and additional late mail arriving ballots in North Carolina, and their long lines at University of Michigan.
Look, I'll tell you something here. I love history. We've talked about this before. I love history, and representation is very important. But we need the right numbers. Do their elections mean that the Senate is going to be able to move in any way, the way we need them to move? What?
No.
Okay, now put that to the side. I'm going to ask Bakari Sellers. Should we outlaw, get rid of, do away with the filibuster?
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's kind of unnecessary. It's a slippery slope that people talk about, but elections have consequences. But you shouldn't have to have 60 senators to do anything. That's called gridlock. What
is the hesitancy from the Democrats or either party really in getting rid of the filibuster?
The slippery slope, because you don't want another, in 5-10 years, another party gets in control and, you can go and do anything you want to do.
But I understand that. However, if we are not going to have the types of margins in America where we're ever going to be able to get 60%, it doesn't seem like that on legislation that's particularly partisan.
They say that's why you have to get bipartisan support. That's their argument.
It's really shutting down the effectiveness of the Senate, if you ask me. It's becoming a
sure.
thumb-twiddling organization. It's kind of bullshit.
You don't go to the Senate to get things done.
Speaking of getting rid of things, do you see a future where we no longer have an electoral college?
No. I mean, I actually don't. I don't mind electoral college, because if you got rid of electoral college, all people would do is campaign in North Carolina and LA. They campaign in New Orleans and Detroit and Philadelphia. They would never campaign in rural parts of North Carolina or rural parts of Georgia, etc., because there would be no reason to. You go to population centers and population centers only.
I sort of disagree with that. I think that it's antiquated, and to be honest with you, it's hindering the progress of the country. I think what would happen is
that's legitimate. I mean, it is a relic of the past, no doubt.
You're essentially being held hostage by places, that I personally think at this point it's an instrument of the past, and we got to move on. Okay, we need to coastal elites got to take over. Bakari, get with us.
I'm gonna let you have that one.
Yeah, I'm just joking. People told me to move back from the camera. They don't understand. It's it's tough for
When
me
did you
right
start
now.
doing the hat thing?
It's been with us a while.
Been like since the spring.
Since
You want
March.
to see some of my other hats?
No. I don't know how we went from there to there. He went to South by Southwest. He got a couple of compliments, and he's never looked back. Is really what happened.
I mean, but you got you got a nice hairline.
It's gonna be better after. It's gonna be. The hairline is gonna be better. Speaking of this, like I got news for you guys. I just got a text from Ziering Medical. The hairline is gonna be better. Van, your appointment is confirmed for Monday, 11/25 at 7 a.m. Ziering Medical, Beverly Hills. Okay.
Don't you have to go to Turkey or something to get that done?
I don't. What do y'all think about this hat?
Story? Van, tell him how you were approached.
Oh, I was at the gym, and a dude came up to me at the gym, and he goes, "You know, you only need a little bit of work." And then he gave me a card. I went down there to Ziering Medical, and it's good. What do you think about this hat?
All the Black people he has helped.
That was when I got to the consultation. It was Tory Lanez and it was Tyga that they had on the video. That's a good hat.
Great company. You're in great company, by the way.
Yeah, you should start an OnlyFans.
What about this? I'm surprised you know about that. You're always telling yourself, and that's what niggas do. See what I'm saying? Surprised you know about that. Morehouse man, elected official, CNN. You're not supposed to know that type of shit. Now we know who we're dealing with.
I keep one ear to the streets.
Yeah, you keep one ear to the coconut oil. That's what it seems like. It's like, all right, look at this. Look at this hat. What do y'all feel? You know what? Forget about y'all, because y'all have joined in hating. In the comments, what do y'all think about my other hats?
I like your hats, man.
You should rock that one more.
This hat right here?
That's a real cowboy hat right there.
All of them are real cowboy hats, guys.
Oh, that's a real cowboy hat.
I have to ask an uncomfortable question of Bakari now. How do we continue to organize, continue to build political coalitions, continue to fight for the type of country that we want if by the minuscule chances this doesn't go our way?
Say that one more time.
If this doesn't go our way, people will be devastated.
Correct.
What will be your message to those people about the America of next week, the America of February in that event?
Just go outside and touch some grass. You know, you still got to raise a family. You got to work a little bit harder. We got to rebuild precinct by precinct. Go out and change the world. I'm not worried about that part. You know, we still have everything we need to be doing. You know, I'm gonna go do flag football with my son on Saturday.
Back to you not being worried. Again, I wasn't here in 2016. Were you worried then?
I began to get worried after Florida in 2016.
Okay. I just want to know, does Bakari get nervous? Does he get worried? Or maybe in 2016 you knew that you were like, this is how it's gonna go.
No, it went south quick in 2016, like that. Florida was gone, Ohio was gone, then Michigan and Pennsylvania. You were like, what in the world is going on?
You guys, we got 10 minutes left. They want us to take some questions from the chat.
Go ahead, because I gotta pee.
Well, I mean, we need you here to answer the questions because
I know
we know all about government.
Go ahead, I can.
We're gonna take some questions from the chat now, guys. Ask your questions right now. Rachel, are you looking at the chat, or do you want me to pick the questions that people are asking?
Where's the chat?
Are you aware of how to use YouTube? No? Okay. Donnie just put some
It's like a whole list of comments over here.
Yeah.
Where?
Darius Jackson says, what's your worst case scenario?
Donald Trump wins and gets a Republican Senate, a Republican House is worst case scenario.
That's the worst case scenario.
Yeah.
Because then we're in the shit now, baby.
Georgia's still there, man. Georgia's still holding tight. Georgia's good. I like what I see out of Georgia.
They want to know, what is Rachel drinking?
Sauvignon Blanc.
Oh my God.
It's night. I'm relaxing. I'm sitting here watching this. I just need, to take the edge off.
They want to know if we can get you to read Mark Robinson's comments on nudeafrica.com.
No, because you should have been written up in HR for that, Rachel. I saw it.
First off,
they did say
I bleeped mine out. Van said no. I want them.
What was your Nude Africa screen name, Van?
Oh, who mine?
Cowboy Baton Rouge Cowboy hat.
Oh no, Zulu Blazer.
Zulu Blazer.
Hey, look, the message boards was a big part.
The
message boards the message boards. I didn't have nothing like that. The message boards was a big part of what was going down back in the day, man. Message boards was a big part of it.
You got to be real. You got to be real loose out there to be writing on these messages, logging in with your name and writing on these message boards.
He's very in tune. Let me ask you this, Van. I never asked you this, and we can ask you because you've left this life behind. How many sites were you in tune with?
No, that's a bad question. I mean, because you got to do the ones he paid for and the ones he hacked and got for free.
Want them all. How many? Because there's never been something mentioned that you had not heard of. Like, I'll be like,
this
I've never heard of that.
This is what I'll say, and won't belabor it. First of all, I believe in paying for porn. Okay, so if I was ever on a site,
you were going with that delay was there, and I'm okay. I hear you.
I believe in paying. Okay, I want the best quality. I don't want any interruptions. I don't like ads. I believe in paying. That's the first thing. Secondly, I'm very susceptible to advertising in all different forms of stuff. I'm the kind of guy that, like, I'm sitting at the house and they're like, hey, new milkshake, Shake Shack. I'm like, I think I need to try it. So there are not very many sites that I haven't tried. But yeah, it's $20. You signed up. It's $20. If you don't like it, it's $20. There are not very many sites I haven't tried. The question is probably, what sites haven't you had a membership to? That's probably easier. And not very many.
Thank you for your honesty.
People are wondering where Hootenanny is at.
What?
Don't ask, Bakari. Let's just move on from that one.
Bakari, delightful Della B says, will you run for office again? I know you're tired of getting answered this question.
I don't mind that question. Yeah, I mean, maybe each day that goes by, I'm less likely to. I enjoy what I'm doing. I enjoy being on TV, having a platform, being able to talk to you guys and have people watch stuff like that. I want to spend time with my kids. I want to miss that. Spend time with my wife, those type of things. I like traveling and speaking and, all of those things.
Does it ever?
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Rachel. Go ahead.
I was going to say, is there also hesitation just because sometime of the negative, I guess, things people think about politicians, or maybe aligning yourself with a certain party, or I just wonder if there's a lot more freedom in what you're able to do versus if you are holding office.
Yeah, I mean, I like that flexibility, but also, I mean, I'm not in a financial position right now to be going to work for the government. You got to realize a lot of people, like a lot of the white boys who go up there, are rich when they get elected. And a lot of the black members are having to kind of scrap and get by. And I don't want to be that.
Question for you, Bakari. There's been a lot of talk, a lot of discussion, a lot of consternation, a lot of hand wringing around Rachel's love life. I'm sure you've noticed, Rachel's single.
I read the article.
Yeah, it's been out there.
No, I asked you, could we start a GoFundMe for her? But you told me to ask her, and I just forgot to text her.
Yeah, it's true.
I need
it. Bakari Sellers, what kind of man do you think Rachel needs?
White.
No, Bakari, stop that. You know what's so good?
What the fuck? Whoa. Whoa. Rachel.
I will forever have to defend myself because the only way people have known me is attached to a non-Black man. Anybody who knows me before was like, what is Rachel doing? Because it's been the complete opposite. But that's okay. You know, I'm not here to prove myself to people I don't know. You think white? Fine, Bakari. Fine.
We just want you to be happy. That's all we want.
Well,
we gotta find a way to make Rachel happy. So it ain't none of my friends. I know it ain't none of your friends, man.
Hell no. Like I get the people, like the people that hit me up. I'm like, boy, y'all niggas really think highly of yourselves. like I know you, dog. Like that's always gets to me. I'm like, no, like I know you, bro. You must really be on one today, nigga. It's a random Tuesday. I'm not. Why are you on the bullshit today? No, I know you. You just got out. Like do something else with your life real quick. Get back on the, Oh man, somebody just asked a question. Cool DeGraw asked, Van, did you use On Probation? Man, of all the sites that I miss, onprobation.com was one of them.
That just sounds like a crime. I don't even know what that is.
Onprobation.com.
Don't ask me questions like that.
This is so weird. Onprobation.com was a site that listed all the other sites. So they would put all the sites on there so you wouldn't have to search around. You could just go straight to different sites. We are so nervous. We're not even talking about the election. Are there any updates? We're almost out of time. We're doing this for an hour. At 7:00 Eastern, I guess 10 where you're at, Bakari, do we know anything tangible? Are things playing out the way they're supposed to?
They're playing out the way they're supposed to. Everybody needs to relax. We're up in the blue wall states. With a third in, Wisconsin's close. It's going to be close.
Somebody's asking about an update on Michigan and the uncommitted movement.
The leader of the uncommitted movement voted for Kamala Harris today.
Oh, there y'all go.
Okay, guys, we are delighted and happy that you chose to join us today. It's still early. That's the takeaway. Bakari says touch grass. I say maybe smoke some. Relax.
Both things work.
You got a closing. You got a closing message for him, Bakari?
Yeah, man. Relax. In the morning, the numbers will change. We'll see where we are. As we leave after 1 hour, she's up in the three states that matter. Let's see what happens.
Guys, taking cats off, but do not stop learning. Van Lathan, Rachel Lindsay, Bakari Sellers. Thanks for hanging out with us for an hour. Peace, guys.
Thank you.
And she met him on The Bachelor.